You want to know what you are to me, Elena? You're a placeholder, a beautiful, expensive placeholder. Marcus's words echoed in her head as Elena stood before 200 guests at the Grand Meridian Hotel. Her hand moved to her throat, fingers closing around the diamond necklace, his anniversary gift presented an hour ago with a kiss for the cameras. She ripped it off. The clasp exploded, diamonds scattered across marble like shattered stars. The ballroom went silent. Marcus's face contorted with fury, but Elena was already walking her bare feet, leaving wet prints from champagne someone had spilled. 12 years of perfect smiles died in that moment. She didn't know the Mafia boss in the corner was watching. Didn't know her life was about to change forever. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and stay with me until the end of this story. Comment below with your city so I can see how far my story has traveled. Now let's begin. The rain hit Elena's face like needles. She gasped, stumbling down the hotel steps, her silver gown already soaked through. She had no coat, no phone, no shoes, just the burning need to disappear before the screaming in her head became real. "Elena!" Jessica's voice cut through the downpour. "Elena, stop!" She didn't stop. Her feet hit the sidewalk, cold cement, shocking her system. Behind her, the Grand Meridian blazed with light, Marcus's kingdom, where he was probably already spinning the story, turning her into the villain of his birthday celebration. "Elena!" Jessica grabbed her arm, spinning her around. Marcus's sister looked horrified at mascara running. "What the hell were you thinking?" "I was thinking I'm done." Elena's voice came out steady, too steady, like something had broken inside her and stopped hurting. "Done? You just humiliated him in front of the mayor, the city council, his biggest investors." Jessica's grip tightened. "Do you have any idea what you've—" "He called me a placeholder, Jess." The words landed like stones. Jessica's mouth opened, closed. "An hour ago, he pulled me into that coat room, you know, the one by the kitchen, and he told me I was a placeholder. A beautiful, expensive placeholder until he found someone worthy of the Martinez name." Elena laughed, the sound cracking. "Then he went back out there, put his arm around that woman, Veronica, from his office, and toasted to the people who make life worth living." He looked right at her when he said it. Jessica's hand dropped. "Elena." "So yes, I humiliated him. I humiliated him in front of everyone who matters. And you know what? It felt good." Elena stepped back. "Tell him I'm not coming back." "Where will you go?" The question hit harder than the rain. Elena had no answer. She turned and walked, Jessica's voice fading behind her. The streets of downtown Chicago blurred. Elena's mind was static, white noise punctuated by flashes of memory. Marcus introducing Veronica as his invaluable partner. The way he'd squeezed Elena's hand under the table, hard enough to bruise when she tried to speak. The laughter when someone asked about children and Marcus said, "Some women aren't built for motherhood." She'd wanted children. He'd had a vasectomy 3 years into their marriage without telling her. Elena's legs gave out. She collapsed onto a bench, shivering violently. Her gown clung to her skin like ice. Across the street, a young couple walked by under an umbrella, laughing at something. The woman's head rested on the man's shoulder. Elena couldn't remember the last time Marcus had touched her with affection. "Misty." She looked up. A young woman stood there holding a jacket. She had kind eyes, concern written across her face. "You're going to freeze." The woman held out the jacket. "There's a cafe around the corner." "Nocturne. I work there. Come inside." Elena wanted to say no, to prove she could handle this alone. But pride was a luxury she'd lost somewhere between the coat room and the ballroom. Okay. The cafe was small, warm, half empty. Sophie, the woman's name was Sophie, led her to a corner booth and disappeared, returning with water and towels. "Tea, coffee." "I don't have money." The admission burned. "Didn't ask if you had money." Sophie's voice was gentle. "Asked if you wanted something hot." "Tea, please." Alone in the booth, Elena pressed the towel to her face. She was 34 years old. No job. Marcus had insisted she quit years ago. No money. He controlled everything, gave her an allowance like she was 12. No friends. He'd systematically destroyed every relationship she'd tried to maintain. No family close by. Her mother was dead. Her father had chosen Marcus's money over his daughter years ago. She had nothing. Rough night. Elena lowered the towel. A man stood beside her, table tall. Dark-haired, expensive suit, but loosened tie. His eyes were almost black, unreadable. "That's an understatement," she managed. Mind if I sit? You look like you could use company, or I can leave. Your call. There was no pressure in his voice, no demand, just an offer. You can sit. He slid across from her, studying her face with an intensity that should have felt intrusive but somehow didn't. I'm Dominic. Elena. What happened, Elena? Why do you care? Maybe I don't like seeing people break alone. The honesty in his voice made her throat tight. Bad marriage. How bad? The kind where you leave in the middle of his birthday party because if you stay one more second, you'll stop existing entirely. The words tumbled out. The kind where he tells you you're just a placeholder, where he parades his mistress in front of you and everyone pretends not to notice, where you realize you've spent 12 years disappearing piece by piece and there's almost nothing left. Dominic's jaw tightened. Marcus Martinez. Elena's stomach dropped. How do you? I was there. Different event in the hotel, but I saw you walk out. Saw the necklace. He paused. Saw him laugh about it after you left. Rage flooded her system. He laughed. Made a joke about hormones. His friends laughed with him. Then he went back to Veronica like nothing happened. Dominic's voice hardened. That's when I followed you. Why would you do that? Because I've watched men like Marcus Martinez destroy women for sport, and I'm tired of watching. He pulled out his phone, typed something, slid it across the table. That's my number. You need help. Real help. You call me. Elena stared at the screen. I don't understand. You don't know me. I know enough. I know you just walked away from a man who will use every resource he has to drag you back. Not because he loves you, he doesn't. Because he can't stand losing. Especially not publicly. Dominic leaned forward. By morning, he'll have filed a missing persons report. He'll paint you as unstable, maybe dangerous to yourself. By tomorrow afternoon, half this city will think you had a mental breakdown. How do you know that? Because it's exactly what I'd do if I were him. Something dark flickered across Dominic's face. Difference is I'm not him, and I know how to fight men like him. Who are you? Someone who can help, if you let me. He stood, pulled out his wallet, left several $100 bills on the table. That's for a hotel room tonight. Sophie knows a place. Tomorrow you start planning your next move. He placed a business card beside the cash. When you're ready to fight back instead of just survive, call that number. I can't pay you. Didn't ask you to. His voice softened. Elena, men like Marcus count on you being alone, being helpless, being too scared to fight back. Don't prove him right. Then he was gone. Sophie appeared with tea. He's intense, but he's good people. You know him. He comes in sometimes. Always tips well. Never causes problems. Sophie hesitated. But the people he meets here, they're not the kind you want as enemies. What kind are they? The kind that makes you grateful they're on your side. Elena wrapped her hands around the mug, her mind racing. Dominic Sorrento. The name meant nothing but something about the way he'd moved, the way he'd known exactly what Marcus would do, her phone. If she'd had it, it would be exploding with calls by now. Marcus mobilizing his army, controlling the narrative, setting the trap. She picked up the business card. Heavy stock, just a name and number, nothing else. What if this was a mistake? What if she was being dramatic like Marcus always said? What if no? She remembered the courtroom, his hand on her waist, his mouth by her ear. You want to know what you are to me, Elena. You're a placeholder, a beautiful, expensive placeholder. But don't worry, I'll keep you around until I find an upgrade. You've been a good little wife. She'd stood there frozen as he'd straightened his tie and walked back to his party. Back to Veronica. 12 years. She'd given it to him 12 years. Elena tucked the card into her bra, the only safe place she had. Then she sat in that cafe for another hour drinking tea, feeling warmth return to her body while her mind made plans. Sophie walked her to the hotel later, a small worn building 3 blocks away. The clerk barely glanced up as Sophie paid cash, asked no questions. The room was tiny, clean. Elena locked the door, wedged the chair under the handle, and finally let herself feel it. Not tears, she was too empty for tears. Just the crushing weight of reality. She'd done it. She'd actually left. But tomorrow the war would begin. She fell asleep on top of the covers, still wearing the borrowed jacket, Dominic's business card pressed against her heart. The pounding on the door came with the sunrise. Elena jerked awake, disoriented. The pounding continued. Aggressive official. Elena Martinez, Chicago PD. We need to verify your well-being. Her heart stopped. Dominic had called it. Marcus had already weaponized the police. I'm fine. I left voluntarily. Ma'am, we need to see you. Your husband filed a missing persons report. He's very concerned. Of course he was, concerned about his reputation. Elena's eyes fell on the business card. She grabbed the hotel phone, dialed with shaking hands. Dominic answered immediately. Elena, police are outside. I don't know what. Don't open the door. Tell them you're contacting your attorney. You'll come to the station with legal representation within the hour. I don't have an attorney. You do now. Rebecca Ortiz, best divorce lawyer in Illinois. She's 15 minutes away. His voice was calm, certain. Room number 214. How did you? Because I started making calls the second I left that cafe last night. Give me some credit, Elena. I don't make offers. I can't back up. Something in his voice, the absolute confidence, made her breathe easier. What do I do? Exactly what I said. Tell them you're contacting your attorney. Don't let them in. Don't explain. Don't apologize. You are not the one who did something wrong. Say it back to me. I'm not the one who did something wrong. Again, like you mean it. I'm not the one who did something wrong. Good. Rebecca will be there in 12 minutes. Stay calm. The line went dead. Elena returned to the door, her voice stronger now. I'm contacting my attorney. I'll come to the station with legal representation within the hour. Silence, then. Ma'am, your husband just wants to make sure you are safe. I'm safer now than I've been in 12 years. Tell him that. Exactly 12 minutes later, there was a different knock. Controlled. Professional. Mrs. Martinez, Rebecca Ortiz. Dominic sent me. Elena opened the door to a woman in her 50s, silver hair pulled back, sharp suit eyes that missed nothing. She looked Elena up and down in 2 seconds, cataloging everything. The police are downstairs. So is your husband. Rebecca's voice was crisp. We're going down together. You're going to verify you're safe and you left voluntarily. You will not elaborate. You will not explain. You will not apologize. Am I clear, Crystal? Good. Also, I brought you real clothes. You can't face them looking like you slept in someone else's jacket. It feeds his narrative. 20 minutes later, Elena descended the stairs in borrowed jeans and a sweater. 2 officers waited in the lobby. So did Marcus. He stood by the window, perfectly groomed, his expression carefully constructed, relief mixed with concern, maybe a hint of hurt. The moment he saw her, he moved forward. Elena, thank God. I've been out of my mind. Rebecca stepped between them like a blade. Mr. Martinez, I'm your wife's attorney. She's here to confirm she's safe. Any further contact goes through me. Marcus's mask cracked. Just for a second, Elena saw the rage underneath before he composed himself. Her attorney? That's interesting. We didn't have any attorneys yesterday. A lot changed yesterday. Rebecca's smile was razor sharp. Now, if you'll excuse us. The police interview was brief. Yes, she was Elena Martinez. No, she hadn't been harmed. Yes, she'd left voluntarily. No, she didn't wish to return home. The officers seemed satisfied, though they kept glancing at Marcus with obvious sympathy. Poor man, their expressions said. Dealing with an unstable wife. As they prepared to leave, Marcus caught Elena's arm. His grip was light, almost gentle. But she could feel the threat beneath it. 12 years of reading his moods. 12 years of learning when the storm was coming. This is a mistake, Elena. His voice was quiet, intimate. You're throwing away everything. Our home, our life, our reputation. All because you got emotional at a party. You called me a placeholder. His eyes hardened. I was drunk. I didn't mean, yes, you did. You meant every word. Elena met his gaze. And you know what, you're right. I was a placeholder, but I'm done holding a place in someone else's story. I'm writing my own now. His hand tightened, fingers digging into her arm. You'll regret this. I promise you that. Mr. Martinez, Rebecca's voice cracked like a whip. Remove your hand from my client, or I'll have you arrested for assault right here. Marcus released her, but his smile was ice. See you in court, Elena. I hope your new attorney is as good as you think. You're going to need her. Rebecca guided Elena out to a black sedan. The moment the door closed, Elena started shaking. He's going to destroy me. He's going to try. Rebecca pulled out a tablet, already typing. But Marcus Martinez has never faced someone like me, or someone like Dominic Sorrento. Elena's head snapped up. Who is Dominic really? Rebecca studied her for a long moment. That's a conversation for later. Right now, I need you to tell me everything about your marriage. Every affair, every humiliation, every instance of control. We're building a case that will tear Marcus Martinez's perfect reputation to shreds. He'll bury me. He has connections everywhere, the mayor, half the judges in Cook County, and Dominic has connections Marcus can't touch. Trust me on that. Rebecca's expression softened slightly. Elena, you didn't just hire an attorney yesterday. You gained an ally who's been waiting for an excuse to take Marcus down. Dominic doesn't do this for just anyone. So whatever you did to catch his attention, it worked. Elena's mind was spinning. I don't understand any of this. You don't have to. You just have to talk. Start from the beginning. When did you meet Marcus? Elena took a shaky breath. 14 years ago, I was 20. He was 28, already successful, already powerful. My father owed him money, a business loan gone bad. Marcus said he'd forgive the debt if I had dinner with him. Rebecca's fingers flew across the tablet, and that didn't raise any red flags. I was 20 and stupid. I thought it was romantic, like something from a movie. Elena's laugh was bitter. He was charming, attentive. He made me feel special, like I was the only person in the room who mattered. When did that change? The day after our wedding. The memory was sharp, clear. We were on our honeymoon in Bali. He got a work call, some deal going south. I suggested he take it on the balcony so he could enjoy the view. He looked at me like I was an idiot and said, "Why would I take business advice from someone whose only job is to look pretty and keep quiet?" Rebecca's jaw tightened, and it escalated from there. Slowly. So slowly, I didn't notice I was disappearing. First, he asked me to quit my job. I was teaching 4th grade because it was beneath the wife of Marcus Martinez. Then he suggested I cut ties with my friends because they were bad influences. Then he started controlling the money, the schedule, what I wore, what I ate. Elena's voice cracked. By year 3, I was a ghost, just this hollow thing that smiled for photos and stayed silent at dinners. Did he ever hit you? No, Marcus is too smart for that. He controlled me without ever leaving a mark. Elena paused. Except once. 2 years ago, I tried to leave, made it as far as the driveway. He grabbed my arm, pulled me back inside. The bruises lasted a week. He took me to his personal doctor, told him I'd fallen down the stairs. The doctor didn't even examine me, just nodded and wrote a prescription for anxiety medication. Rebecca's expression was cold fury. That doctor's name, Dr. Richard Ashford. He's going to wish he'd actually examined you. Rebecca made a note. What else affairs? Veronica's the current one, but she's not the first. There was Amanda, 3 years ago, his assistant. Before that, someone named Claire. Before that, Elena trailed off. I stopped keeping track. He wasn't even discreet about it. He wanted me to know, wanted me to feel powerless. Why did you finally leave last night? The placeholder comment was the final straw. But honestly, I've been dying inside for years. Last night, I just decided I'd rather die free than live in his cage. Elena met Rebecca's eyes. He's going to paint me as crazy, unstable. He's probably already telling everyone I had a psychotic break. Let him. We're going to paint him as an abusive, controlling narcissist who destroyed his wife's mental health over 12 years of systematic cruelty. Rebecca's smile was sharp. And we have something Marcus doesn't expect. What? Evidence. Dominic's people have been watching him for 6 months. We have photographs of every affair, recordings of several conversations where he discusses his stupid wife, financial records showing how he's been hiding assets. By the time we're done, Marcus Martinez will lose everything that matters to him, his reputation, his power, and his control. Elena's hands were shaking. Why would Dominic do this for me? That, Rebecca said, is something you'll have to ask him yourself. But I can tell you this, Dominic doesn't waste time on lost causes. He saw something in you last night, something worth protecting. The car pulled up to a high-rise downtown. Rebecca's office, apparently. As they exited, Elena caught her reflection in the building's glass doors. She barely recognized herself. Without makeup, without the designer clothes Marcus insisted on, Without the mask of perfection, she looked young, fragile, real. Come on, Rebecca said. We have work to do. And Elena. From this moment forward, you're not Marcus's wife. You're not anyone's placeholder. You're my client, and I don't lose. Elena followed her inside spine, straightening with each step. The war had begun, and for the first time in 12 years, Elena was fighting back. Rebecca's office was all glass and steel, the kind of space designed to intimidate. Elena sat across from her at a massive desk, a recording device between them. Start with the finances, Rebecca said. How much control did Marcus have? Complete control. I had an allowance $500 a week for personal expenses. Everything else went through him or his assistant. $500 a week? Rebecca's eyebrow arched. Your husband's net worth is approximately $40 million, and he gave you $500 a week. The number sounded obscene when said aloud. He said it was generous, that most wives didn't get anything. Most wives have access to joint accounts, credit cards, assets. Rebecca leaned forward. Did you have anything in your own name? No, he said it was easier to manage everything together, that I didn't need to worry about finances. Translation, he wanted total control. Rebecca made notes. What about your personal accounts? From before the marriage. I had a savings account with about $8,000 when we met. He convinced me to close it, put the money toward our honeymoon. Said we were a team now, no need for separate finances. So he isolated you financially within the first month. Elena had never thought of it that way. Yes. Did he ever threaten you explicitly? Not with violence, but he made it clear what would happen if I left. He'd destroy my father's business, what was left of it. He'd make sure no one in Chicago would hire me. He'd tell everyone I was unstable, that I'd tried to hurt myself, that I was an embarrassment to his name. Elena's voice dropped. And I believed him, because Marcus doesn't make empty threats. Rebecca's phone buzzed. She glanced at it, her expression shifting. Dominic's here. Elena's pulse jumped. Here, why? Because he wants to meet with you. Officially. Rebecca stood. He's been helping behind the scenes, but now we're moving into active strategy. That means you need to understand exactly what you're getting into. Before Elena could respond, the office door opened. Dominic walked in looking different in daylight, sharper, more dangerous. He wore a dark suit that probably cost more than Elena's monthly allowance. His hair slightly damp, like he'd just showered. Elena, he nodded to her, then to Rebecca. Has she been briefed? We're building the foundation. Financial control, emotional abuse affairs. Good. Dominic sat in the chair beside Elena, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and understated. Elena, I need to be direct with you. Marcus has already started his counterattack. Her stomach clenched. What do you mean? This morning he gave an interview to the Tribune, said you've been struggling with depression for years, that he's been trying to get you help, but you refuse treatment, that you've become increasingly paranoid and erratic. Dominic pulled out his phone, showed her the article. Elena read the headline, Real Estate Mogul Pleads for Missing Wife's Safe Return. The photo showed Marcus looking haggard, concerned. The article quoted him extensively. Elena is the love of my life, but she's been battling demons. I can't fight for her. I just want her to come home so we can get her the help she needs. He's lying. Elena's hands shook. I've never been diagnosed with depression. Never refused treatment. This is all. I know. Dominic's voice was calm. And we're going to prove it. But you need to understand how this plays out. Marcus has the sympathy angle right now. The worried husband, the devoted partner. We need to shift that narrative and shift it hard. How? We go public with the truth. Your truth. Rebecca pulled up a document on her tablet. We've drafted a statement. You read it, approve it, and we release it to the media this afternoon. It details the emotional abuse, the affairs, the financial control, everything. Elena's chest tightened. That will destroy my privacy. Everyone will know. Everyone will know you're a survivor, not a victim. Dominic's voice was firm. Right now, Marcus controls the story. We take that power back. What if no one believes me? Marcus has friends everywhere. Connections. Power. So do I. Dominic leaned back. And mine don't care about country club memberships or political donations. They care about results. Something in his tone made Elena look at him closer. Who are you, really? Rebecca and Dominic exchanged a glance. I'm someone who knows how men like Marcus operate, Dominic said carefully. Someone who has resources to fight them. That's all you need to know right now. No, Elena's voice was stronger than she expected. If I'm trusting you with my life, I need to know who you are. A slow smile crossed Dominic's face. Fair enough. I own several businesses in Chicago: construction, real estate development, import-export. Some of my methods are unconventional. I have friends in places Marcus can't reach. And I have a particular talent for finding information people want to keep hidden. You're saying you're a criminal. I'm saying I operate in gray areas, always have. He didn't look away. Does that change things for you? Elena thought about it. About Marcus's pristine reputation built on cruelty, about the judges and politicians he'd bought, about 12 years of playing by rules that only ever protected him. No, she said, it doesn't. Good, because we're about to get very dirty very fast. Dominic pulled out a folder spread photographs across Rebecca's desk. These were taken over the past 6 months. Marcus with Veronica at the Peninsula Hotel, Marcus with Amanda at his Lake Forest property, Marcus with a woman named Diane. She's married to one of his business partners, by the way. Elena stared at the images. Bile rose in her throat. You've been following him. I've been documenting him. There's a difference. Dominic tapped one photo. This one's particularly useful. Taken 3 weeks ago, Marcus and Veronica at what appears to be a very intimate dinner. Notice the ring on her finger. Elena looked closer. That's my grandmother's ring. He told me it was stolen. He gave it to his mistress. We have the jeweler's records showing he had it resized. Rebecca's smile was predatory. That's not just infidelity, Elena. That's theft of marital property. How did you get all this? I told you, I have resources. Dominic gathered the photos. But here's what matters. We have enough evidence to destroy Marcus's reputation and credibility. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? Because once we release your statement, there's no going back. He'll come at you with everything he has. Elena thought about the courtroom, about being called a placeholder, about 12 years of disappearing. I'm ready. You're sure? Because Marcus will hire private investigators. He'll dig into your past, try to find anything he can use against you. He'll let him dig. Elena's voice was steel. I've done nothing wrong. I've been the perfect wife, the perfect prisoner. There's nothing to find. Dominic's expression shifted, something like respect. All right then. Rebecca released the statement. Schedule a press conference for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow, Elena's stomach dropped. That's too soon. I need time to prepare to... There is no preparing for this, Rebecca said gently. You sit at a table, write a statement, don't take questions. 5 minutes and it's done. And then we file for divorce. Full asset disclosure, restraining order, the works. Rebecca pulled up more documents. We're asking for half of everything plus spousal support plus damages for emotional distress. Elena's head spun. How much are we talking about? 20 million give or take, plus the Lake Forest house since it was purchased with marital funds, plus compensation for the 12 years you gave up your career and financial independence. $20 million. The number was incomprehensible. He'll never agree to that. He doesn't have to agree. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, but we're documenting fault anyway. Adultery, financial abuse, emotional cruelty. By the time we're done, Marcus will be lucky if he keeps half of what he has. Rebecca's eyes gleamed. And that's assuming we don't find criminal activity in his business dealings. What criminal activity? Dominic and Rebecca exchanged another look. Your husband's real estate empire was built very quickly, Dominic said. Too quickly. There are questions about how he acquired certain properties. Zoning changes that happen suspiciously fast. Permits that bypass normal channels. We're looking into all of it. You think he bribed officials? I think your husband cuts corners. And when you cut enough corners, eventually you cut something illegal. Dominic stood. But that's our problem, not yours. Your job is to get through tomorrow's press conference. Rebecca will prep you. I'll handle everything else. Wait, Elena stood too. Why are you doing this? Really, you said you've been watching Marcus for 6 months. You had all this evidence before you ever met me? So why now? Why me? Dominic was silent for a long moment. Then, because I watched him humiliate you in that courtroom, I was there for a meeting with another guest happened to be walking by when he dragged you in there. I heard what he said to you, saw your face when you walked out. His jaw tightened, and I decided right then that Marcus Martinez needed to lose something that mattered to him. Turns out his reputation matters more than his wife ever did. The honesty in his voice hit Elena like a wave. You heard everything, every word, and when you threw that necklace in his face, I knew you were finally ready to fight. Dominic moved toward the door, then paused. Get some rest tonight. Tomorrow's going to be brutal. Rebecca will have security take you to a safe location. I can't go back to that hotel. Marcus knows where you are. He'll send people, lawyers, private investigators, maybe friends trying to convince you to come home. You need to be somewhere he can't find you. Dominic pulled out another business card different from the first. This address. Be there by 8 tonight. It's secure. After he left, Elena sank into her chair. Her whole body was trembling. Is he always this intense? She asked Rebecca. Always, but he's also always effective. Rebecca began packing up her files. Elena, I know this is overwhelming, but you need to trust the process. Trust Dominic. He wouldn't be this invested if he didn't think we could win. What if we don't? What if Marcus finds a way to... He won't, because we're not playing his game anymore. We're playing ours. Rebecca's phone buzzed again. She frowned at the screen. Your father's trying to reach you, through my office. Elena's heart sank. What does he want? To talk sense into you, I imagine. Should I connect him? No, yes, I don't know. Elena pressed her hands to her face. He'll take Marcus's side. He always does. Then tell him that. Tell him exactly how it feels to have your own father choose money over you. Rebecca's voice was hard. Or don't take the call at all. But if you do, I'm recording it. Everything from now on gets documented. Elena took a shaky breath. Put him through. Rebecca tapped her phone. Mr. Davis, I have Elena here. Her father's voice filled the office, gruff, familiar, disappointed. Elena Marie Davis, what the hell do you think you're doing? Not Elena Martinez. He'd never called her by her married name. Like he'd been waiting for this marriage to fail from the beginning. Hello, Dad. Don't hello, Dad me. Marcus called me this morning. Said you've lost your mind, run off with some lawyer. Said you're trying to destroy him. I'm divorcing him. There's a difference. Over what? A little argument at a party. You're throwing away a marriage over pride. He called me a placeholder, Dad, to my face. He's been cheating on me for years. He controls every dollar I spend, every friend I see, every choice I make. That's not a marriage. That's a prison. Silence on the other end. Then, marriage is hard, Elena. You think your mother and I never fought, never had rough patches? Did Mom ever feel like she was disappearing? Like she didn't exist except as an extension of you? More silence. I didn't think so. Elena's voice cracked. Marcus is not a good man, Dad, and I'm not coming back to him. He'll bury you in legal fees, drag this out for years, destroy your reputation. Is that what you want? I have a good lawyer and people helping me who aren't afraid of Marcus. What people this Dominic character Marcus mentioned? Elena, do you have any idea who that man is? What he's involved in? I know enough. He's connected to organized crime, runs half the construction rackets in Chicago. Marcus says he's dangerous. Marcus is more dangerous. At least Dominic's honest about what he is. Her father's voice dropped to a hiss. You're going to regret this. When the money runs out and the lawyers leave and you're alone with nothing, you remember this conversation. Remember that I warned you. I'll remember that you chose him over me. Again. Elena's hands were shaking. Goodbye, Dad. She nodded to Rebecca, who ended the call. The silence in the office was deafening. I'm sorry, Rebecca said quietly. Don't be. I knew how that would go. Elena wiped her eyes. He's been taking Marcus's money for years. Why would he stop now? Because you're his daughter. Because you deserve his support. Rebecca's voice was fierce. But you don't need him. You have us. Us. The word felt foreign. Elena had been alone for so long, she'd forgotten what support looked like. What happens now? Now you go to the safe house, rest, eat something. Tomorrow at 9 a.m. we hold the press conference. Then we file the divorce papers. Then we prepare for war. Rebecca walked Elena to the door. And Elena, stop apologizing. For leaving, for fighting back, for existing. You've done nothing wrong. The safe house turned out to be a penthouse apartment in the West Loop. Sleek, modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. A security guard stood outside the door, large, silent, professional. "Ms. Martinez?" He nodded. "I'm Joseph. I'll be here all night. You need anything, just call down." Inside the apartment was beautiful. Expensive furniture, stocked kitchen, a bedroom with a bed that looked like a cloud. On the counter, Elena found a note in Dominic's handwriting. "Make yourself at home. Rebecca will pick you up at 8 a.m. Don't open the door for anyone but her, D." Elena wandered through the space, touching things. A cashmere throw, fresh flowers in a vase, books on the shelf, real books, not decorator pieces. Someone had stocked the fridge with actual food, not just the organic, tasteless health food Marcus insisted on. She found wine, opened a bottle, poured a glass, and stood at the window looking out at Chicago. Somewhere in the city, Marcus was planning his next move, calling in favors, strategizing with his lawyers, spinning the story. But for the first time in 12 years, Elena wasn't afraid of what he might do. She was angry. The anger felt clean, sharp, real. Her phone, the new one Rebecca had given her, buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "It's Dominic, just checking in. You settling okay?" Elena stared at the message. How had he gotten this number? Rebecca must have given it to him. She typed back, "Yes, thank you for this place. It's beautiful. It's yours as long as you need it. Get some rest. Tomorrow's a big day. Can I ask you something? Anything?" Elena's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then, "Did you really just happen to be in that hotel? Or were you there because of Marcus?" The response took longer this time. "I was there because of Marcus. I've been building a case against him for months. But I wasn't planning to act on it until I saw what he did to you." "Why were you building a case?" "Because men like him need to face consequences, and I'm in a position to deliver them." "You're talking about revenge." "I'm talking about justice. There's a difference." Elena wasn't sure there was, but she typed, "Thank you anyway." "Don't thank me yet. Thank me when this is over and you're free." She set the phone down, finished her wine, poured another glass. Outside, the city lights blazed. Somewhere down there, people were living normal lives, going to dinner, watching movies, loving each other freely. Elena couldn't remember what that felt like. She woke the next morning to pounding on the door. Panic seized her before she remembered Joseph was outside. "Ms. Martinez, it's Rebecca. We need to move up the timeline." Elena threw on clothes, opened the door. Rebecca stood there with 2 cups of coffee and a grim expression. "What happened?" "Marcus held his own press conference an hour ago, played the devastated husband, announced he's offering a $50,000 reward for information leading to your safe return, implied you might be a danger to yourself." Rebecca thrust a coffee into Elena's hands. "We're holding our conference in 30 minutes. No time to prepare. You're going in raw." "I can't." "Yes, you can. All you have to do is tell the truth." Rebecca pulled out the statement they drafted yesterday. "Read this. Don't deviate. Don't answer questions. We make our statement and leave." 25 minutes later, Elena stood in a hotel conference room facing 15 reporters and twice as many cameras. Her hands shook as she gripped the podium. Beside her, Rebecca stood like a warrior. The lights were blinding. "My name is Elena Martinez," she began, voice trembling. "And I'm here to tell you the truth. The truth about my marriage." She read the statement. Every word about the control, the manipulation, the affairs, every detail Rebecca had helped her craft. When she finished, the reporters erupted with questions. "Mrs. Martinez, is it true you've been diagnosed with—" "No questions," Rebecca said firmly. "We've said what we came to say." But one reporter pushed forward. "Mrs. Martinez, your husband says you're mentally unstable, that you've refused treatment. How do you respond?" Elena looked directly into the camera. "I respond that gaslighting is a classic abuse tactic, making your victim think they're crazy so no one believes them when they finally speak up. I'm not unstable. I'm free, and that terrifies him." Rebecca pulled her away from the podium through a side door into a waiting car. The moment they were inside, Elena started shaking. "I did it," she whispered. "I actually did it." "You were perfect." Rebecca squeezed her hand. "Now comes the hard part." Marcus's response. It came within the hour, a statement from his lawyer calling Elena's accusations false and defamatory, a threat of a lawsuit for slander, a detailed account of Elena's erratic behavior over the past year, all lies, all designed to make her look unstable. But the court of public opinion was shifting. Social media exploded with support for Elena. #Believe. Elena started trending. Women came forward with their own stories of Marcus's cruelty. Former employees he'd harassed women he'd dated before Elena, who described similar patterns of control. By afternoon, 3 major sponsors had pulled their support from Marcus's charity foundation. "He's bleeding," Rebecca said with satisfaction. "Keep pushing." That night, Elena returned to the penthouse to find Dominic waiting. "You did good today," he said. "Marcus is fighting back hard. Let him. Every punch he throws makes him look worse." Dominic handed her a glass of wine. "Tomorrow we file the divorce papers. After that, discovery begins. We get access to all his financial records, business dealings, everything." "What are you looking for?" "Proof that he's not the legitimate businessman he pretends to be. Proof that his empire was built on bribes and kickbacks and illegal land deals." Dominic's eyes were hard. "Your husband made enemies on his way up, Elena. I'm just giving them permission to speak." "This isn't just about my divorce, is it?" "No, it's about taking down a man who's hurt a lot of people and never faced consequences." He paused. "Does that bother you?" Elena thought about it, about the women coming forward, about the employees Marcus had destroyed, about 12 years of being invisible. "No," she said, "it doesn't bother me at all." Dominic's phone rang at 2 in the morning. Elena heard it from the guest room where she couldn't sleep, heard his voice go cold and clip through the walls. When he emerged minutes later, his expression was granite. "Get dressed. We need to leave now." Elena's heart lurched. "What happened?" "Marcus just had your father arrested." The words didn't make sense. "What? Why about fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion? Every financial crime you can think of." Dominic was already moving, grabbing his jacket. "It's a message. He's showing you what happens when you fight back." Elena's hands went numb. "But my father, he doesn't have anything to do with this. He took Marcus's money. That makes him vulnerable." Dominic's voice was hard. "Get dressed. We're going to the police station." The drive took 12 minutes. Elena spent every second trying to breathe, trying not to fall apart. Her father was a lot of things: weak, selfish, disappointing, but he wasn't a criminal. Marcus had set him up. Had to have. Rebecca met them at the station, already in full lawyer mode. They're holding him on $2 million bail. The charges are extensive. If even half of them stick, he's looking at 15 years. "Marcus did this." Elena's voice shook. "He's punishing me through my father." "We can't prove that." "Not yet." Rebecca's jaw was tight. "But we will." They wouldn't let Elena see him. She stood in the waiting area while Rebecca went in, feeling like the walls were closing in. Dominic stood beside her, silent and watchful. "This is my fault," Elena whispered. "No, this is Marcus's fault. Don't take responsibility for his cruelty. My father warned me. Said Marcus would destroy everyone around me. I didn't listen. Your father took Marcus's money for years. He made his choices. Now he's facing the consequences." Dominic's voice softened. "That doesn't make this your fault." Rebecca emerged 20 minutes later, her expression grim. "He's being arraigned in the morning. I can represent him if you want. But Elena, this is bad. The evidence is substantial. Bank records, forged documents, wire transfers. Either Marcus planted it very well or your father actually did these things." Elena's stomach turned. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to consider the possibility that your father was involved in illegal activity, that Marcus knew about it and kept records, that he's been waiting for the perfect moment to use them." Rebecca's voice was gentle. "I'm sorry." The arraignment was a circus. Reporters everywhere, cameras flashing, questions shouted. Elena's father looked small in his orange jumpsuit, older than his 63 years. When he saw her, something flickered across his face, shame maybe, or anger. The judge set bail at $1 million. Elena didn't have it. Her father was taken back to county lockup. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. "Ms. Martinez, did you know about your father's criminal activity? Is it true you're using the divorce to avoid being implicated? Did your husband discover the fraud and you left to distance yourself?" Rebecca pushed through them, Dominic flanking Elena's other side. They made it to the car, but the damage was done. By noon, the headlines had shifted. Wife of real estate mogul flees as father's crimes exposed. Marcus Martinez's nightmare unfaithful wife, criminal father-in-law. The narrative was changing fast. He's winning, Elena said, staring at her phone in the penthouse. Marcus is turning this around. Only if we let him. Dominic took the phone from her hands. Stop reading. We need to focus on the divorce. How can I focus on anything when my father's in jail because of me? He's in jail because he committed crimes or because Marcus framed him. Either way, you can't fix it by falling apart. Dominic's voice was firm. Rebecca's already working on it. We'll figure out the truth, but right now we need to stay on offense. Rebecca arrived an hour later with news. Discovery came back. Marcus's financial records are a mess. Dozens of offshore accounts, shell companies, suspicious transactions. We're talking serious money laundering potential. Elena sat up. You can prove it. Not yet, but we have enough to get forensic accountants involved. If Marcus has been moving illegal money, we'll find it. Rebecca's eyes gleamed. And if we find it, we can use it as leverage. He drops the charges against your father or we expose his empire. That's blackmail. That's negotiation. Rebecca didn't blink. Welcome to divorce court. 2 days later, Marcus made his next move. An interview with a sympathetic reporter, tears in his eyes as he talked about how much he loved Elena, how worried he was about her mental state, how he discovered her father's crimes and tried to protect her from the truth. I should have told her, he said, voice breaking. But I didn't want to hurt her, didn't want her to know her father had been stealing from my company for years. I kept hoping I could resolve it quietly, keep it from destroying her. And now she's punishing me for trying to protect her. The interview went viral. Public opinion swung back in Marcus's favor. The narrative became devoted husband trying to protect unstable wife from her criminal father. Elena watched it from the penthouse, feeling sick. He's rewriting history, she whispered, making himself the hero. Let him. Dominic's voice was cold. Heroes have further to fall. That night, Dominic's phone buzzed with a message. He read it, his expression shifting to something dangerous. What? Elena asked. One of Marcus's former business partners just agreed to talk. Says he has information about bribes Marcus paid to city officials. Specific names, dates, amounts. Dominic looked up. This could be the break we need. They met the man Richard Caldwell in a parking garage the next morning. He was nervous, sweating despite the cold. Marcus ruined me, Richard said without preamble. Pushed me out of our partnership, took everything. I've been waiting 5 years for a chance to return the favor. What do you have? Rebecca asked. Richard pulled out a flash drive. Copies of everything. Emails, wire transfers, recorded conversations. Marcus paid off 3 aldermen, 2 city inspectors, and a judge to push through permits for his waterfront project. We're talking $500,000 in bribes. Elena's breath caught. You can prove this. Every transaction is documented. Marcus was meticulous. That's what's going to destroy him. He kept records of everything. Richard's hands shook. But you need to move fast. He knows I'm talking. I've already received threats. Dominic took the flash drive. What kind of threats? The kind that makes me think I might not live to testify. Richard's voice cracked. I have a family. Kids. I need protection. You'll have it? Dominic made a call, spoke quickly in Italian. Elena caught enough to understand he was arranging security. Rebecca was already reviewing the files on her laptop. Her face went pale. This is extensive, detailed. If this is real, it's real, Richard interrupted. I helped facilitate some of it. That's why I kept copies. Insurance policy in case Marcus ever turned on me, which he did. Then you're also admitting to crimes, Rebecca pointed out. I know. I'll take a plea deal, testify against him. I don't care anymore. I just want him to pay. Richard looked at Elena. He destroyed my marriage too. Told my wife I was having an affair, planted evidence. She left with my kids. I haven't seen them in 3 years. Elena felt the familiar weight of Marcus's cruelty. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Help me burn him down. They spent the next week building the case. Forensic accountants traced Marcus's money through layers of shell companies. Rebecca compiled witness statements from 3 other former business partners Marcus had destroyed. The evidence became overwhelming. But Marcus wasn't backing down. He filed a countersuit against Elena, claiming she'd stolen money from him during the marriage, demanding she return jewelry and gifts he'd given her, alleging she'd been planning this for months with Dominic's help. "He's saying we had an affair," Elena said, reading the filing, "that I left him for you." Dominic didn't look up from his laptop. "Let him say it. We know it's not true. But people will believe it. It fits his narrative. Unstable wife runs off with dangerous criminal." "Elena," Dominic's voice stopped her. "Do you care what people think, really?" She wanted to say no, but the truth was harder. "I've spent my whole life caring what people think. Being perfect, being acceptable, being what Marcus needed me to be. And where did that get you?" "Nowhere." Elena's voice broke. "It got me nowhere." "Then stop. Stop caring, stop performing. Just be angry and messy and real." Dominic finally looked at her. "You think I got where I am by worrying about reputation? I did what needed to be done. Made choices other people wouldn't make. And yeah, some people think I'm a criminal. They're probably right. But I'm free. Can you say the same?" The question hit like a slap. Could she even now, even after leaving, she was still worried about appearances, still trying to control how people saw her? "No," she admitted. "I can't." "Then let it go. Let Marcus spin his stories. Let the reporters write their headlines. None of it matters if we win. And if we don't win, we will." His certainty was absolute. "Because I don't lose. Ever." The turning point came on a Tuesday. Rebecca burst into the penthouse at 7 a.m., hair disheveled, eyes bright. "We got him. The judge, the one Marcus bribed for the waterfront permits, he's agreed to cooperate. Federal investigation immunity deal, full testimony." Elena's heart stopped. "Federal?" "The FBI's been investigating Marcus for months. Turns out we're not the only ones who noticed his rapid rise. They have evidence of fraud, bribery, money laundering. They were just waiting for the right witness." Rebecca was practically vibrating. "That judge is the domino that brings down the whole operation. What does this mean for the divorce?" "It means Marcus has bigger problems than you. It means his lawyers are about to get very distracted. It means we have leverage." Rebecca pulled out her phone. "I'm calling his attorney. We're making a deal." The negotiation took 6 hours. Elena sat in Rebecca's office, listening to her lawyer destroy Marcus's position piece by piece. By 3 p.m., they had an agreement. Marcus would drop all charges against Elena's father. He would agree to an uncontested divorce with a $25 million settlement. He would sign a non-disclosure agreement, preventing him from ever discussing Elena publicly. And in exchange, Elena would not testify against him in the federal case. "Can I testify anyway?" Elena asked. "After the divorce is final." Rebecca's smile was sharp. "The NDA only covers the divorce. If the FBI subpoenas you for a criminal investigation, you're legally obligated to comply. So we're letting him think he's safe. We're giving him a false sense of security, then we're watching him fall." Rebecca pushed the agreement across the desk. "Sign this. Your marriage is over." Elena picked up the pen. Her hand trembled. 12 years of her life reduced to a signature on a legal document. She thought about the girl she'd been at 20, naive, hopeful, believing in fairy tales. She thought about the woman she'd become, hollow, controlled, invisible. She signed. "It's done," Rebecca said softly. "You're free." Free. The word should have felt triumphant. Instead, it felt terrifying. What did freedom even mean after 12 years of captivity? Elena left Rebecca's office in a daze. Dominic was waiting in the car, scrolling through his phone. When he saw her face, he set it aside. "How do you feel?" "I don't know." Elena's voice was small, lost, untethered, like I just jumped off a cliff and I'm waiting to hit the ground. "You're not going to hit the ground. You're going to learn how to float." Dominic started the car. "Come on, I want to show you something." He drove her to a building in River North, new construction, glass and steel, breathtaking. "This is mine. 24 units, half already sold. The penthouse is still available." "Why are you showing me this?" "Because you need a place to live. The safe house was temporary. You need somewhere permanent, somewhere Marcus doesn't know about, somewhere that's yours." Dominic handed her a key. "It's yours if you want it, no strings. You can buy it with your settlement, or I'll sell it to you at cost, or you can just live there while you figure things out. Your choice." Elena stared at the key. "I can't accept this." "Why not?" Because I don't know how to accept help. I don't know how to trust that people aren't trying to control me. Her voice cracked. I don't know how to be anything other than Marcus's wife. Then learn. Take the key. Look at the apartment. Make a choice that's yours and nobody else's. Dominic's voice was gentle. Elena, you've been making choices for other people your whole life. Your father, Marcus. Make one for yourself. She took the key. The penthouse was beautiful. Open floor plan, natural light, a kitchen that actually looked functional. Standing in the empty living room, Elena felt something crack open inside her. This could be hers, her space, her choice, her life. She started crying. Not sad tears, something else. Relief maybe, or grief for all the years she'd lost, or hope for the years she might finally have. Dominic stood in the doorway giving her space. When she finally composed herself, she turned to him. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just live. That's all I want. For you to actually live instead of just existing. That night, Elena moved into the penthouse. She had almost nothing, a few clothes. Rebecca had bought her toiletries, the divorce agreement. But it was hers. She stood at the window looking out at Chicago. Somewhere in this city, Marcus was probably celebrating his deal, thinking he'd won. He'd gotten out of the divorce relatively cheaply, kept Elena silent, maintained his reputation. He had no idea what was coming. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from Rebecca. Your father's being released in the morning. Charges dropped. He wants to see you. Elena stared at the message. Part of her wanted to refuse. Her father had chosen Marcus's money over her for years, had abandoned her when she needed him most. But he was still her father. And maybe after everything, they both deserved a chance to be honest with each other. She texted back, I'll be there. The reunion happened at a coffee shop near the courthouse. Her father looked haggard, older, defeated. When he saw Elena, he didn't move to hug her. Thank you, he just said quietly, for getting the charges dropped. It wasn't for you, it was part of the divorce agreement. He flinched. Right, of course. They sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Elena spoke. Did you do it? The fraud, the embezzlement, was it real? Her father's hands tightened around his coffee cup. Some of it, not all of it. Marcus exaggerated, planted evidence to make it look worse. But yeah, I took some money I shouldn't have. I was desperate. The business was failing. I had debts. Marcus offered to help, but there were strings. There were always strings. So you stole from him. I borrowed. I was going to pay it back. He looked up, eyes red. I know how that sounds. I know I'm making excuses. But Elena, you have to understand Marcus had me trapped. Just like he had you trapped. I couldn't get out. You could have tried. You could have warned me, helped me leave, done anything other than take his money and tell me to stay. I was a coward. His voice broke. I chose money over my daughter. I chose comfort over your safety. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Elena wanted to stay angry, wanted to hold on to the righteous fury that had sustained her through the divorce. But sitting across from her father, seeing his shame and regret, she felt it drain away. I can't forgive you yet, she said. Maybe not ever, but I understand. Marcus is very good at trapping people. You got out. You fought back. I'm proud of you for that. The words hit unexpectedly hard. When was the last time her father had said he was proud of her? I had help. People who weren't afraid of Marcus. This Dominic character. Marcus says he's dangerous. He is dangerous to people like Marcus. Elena met her father's eyes. But he's been kinder to me in 2 weeks than my husband was in 12 years. So I'm choosing to trust him. Be careful, Elena. Men like that, they don't do things out of kindness. They want something. Maybe, but whatever he wants, he's not trying to make me invisible to get it. That's an improvement. Her father was quiet for a long time. Then, I'm sorry. For everything. For the wedding, for the money, for choosing wrong. For not being the father you deserved. Elena felt tears building. I needed to hear that. What happens now with you? I don't know. I have money from the settlement, a place to live, time to figure out who I am without Marcus. She stood. But I need to do it alone, without you trying to manage me or make decisions for me. Can you do that? I can try. Then maybe eventually we can try to rebuild something, but not yet. Not while I'm still figuring out how to be me. They parted outside the coffee shop. Elena watched her father walk away, shoulders slumped, and felt the weight of their relationship settle differently. Not healed, but maybe someday healable. She returned to the penthouse to find Dominic waiting with takeout and news. The FBI raided Marcus's office this morning, seized all his computers, files, everything. Dominic's smile was predatory. He's going to be indicted within the week. That fast? They've been building the case for months. Your divorce just gave them the final pieces they needed. He handed her a container of Thai food. Rebecca says you might be subpoenaed to testify. Good, I want to. Elena opened the container, suddenly ravenous. I want to watch him lose everything the way I lost everything. That's the spirit. Dominic raised his beer. To revenge. To justice, Elena corrected. Same thing in this case. They ate in comfortable silence. Outside, the sun was setting over Chicago, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Elena watched it, feeling something shift inside her. For the first time in years, the future didn't feel like a prison sentence. It felt like possibility. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Why did you really help me? And don't say it's because you hate men like Marcus. There's more to it than that. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. Then, I had a sister, younger than me. She married a man like Marcus, controlling, abusive, isolating. I tried to help her leave, but she wouldn't. Said she loved him. Said I didn't understand. His voice went flat. She killed herself 3 years ago, left a note saying she couldn't take it anymore. Elena's breath caught. Dominic, I'm so sorry. I couldn't save her, but when I saw you in that hotel walking out in the rain, I thought maybe I can save you. Maybe I can do for you what I couldn't do for Maria. He met her eyes. So yeah, I have an agenda. I wanted to destroy Marcus, but I also wanted to prove that women like you can survive men like him, that leaving is possible. I'm not your sister. I know, but helping you helps her memory, makes her death mean something. Elena reached across the table, took his hand. She'd be proud of you. Maybe, or maybe she'd tell me I'm being obsessive and controlling in my own way. He squeezed her hand, but I can't seem to stop. Not until Marcus pays for what he did. To you, to all of you. They sat like that as darkness fell over the city. And for the first time since leaving, Elena didn't feel alone. She felt like she might actually survive this. The subpoena arrived 3 days later. Elena held the legal document in her hands, feeling the weight of what it meant. In the 2 weeks, she'd testify before a federal grand jury about Marcus's business dealings. You don't have to do this, Rebecca said, though her tone suggested otherwise. The NDA doesn't cover criminal proceedings, but you could claim spousal privilege for some things. No, Elena's voice was firm. I want to testify. I want to tell them everything. Dominic was on his phone across the room speaking rapid Italian. When he hung up, his expression was troubled. Marcus knows about the subpoena. He's making moves. What kind of moves? The dangerous kind. He just liquidated 3 offshore accounts. We're talking $15 million. Money he's trying to hide before the feds can freeze his assets. Dominic's jaw tightened. He's also been asking questions about you, where you're living, who you're with, what you're planning. Fear spiked through Elena's chest. Is he going to hurt you? No. He's smarter than that. But he might try to intimidate you, discredit you, make you look unreliable before you testify. Dominic moved closer. I'm putting more security on you. 24/7. No arguments. I'm not arguing. Elena's hands were shaking. But Dominic, what if he finds a way to stop this? What if he won't, because we're not giving him time. Dominic pulled out his phone, showed her a news alert. This goes live in 10 minutes. The headline read, Federal investigation targets Chicago real estate mogul Marcus Martinez. Elena's breath caught. You leaked it. I made sure the right reporter got the right information at the right time. By tonight, every news outlet in the country will be covering this. Marcus can't make this disappear. Dominic's smile was cold. He's about to learn what it feels like to be exposed. The story exploded. Within hours, Marcus's photo was on every major network. His business partners began distancing themselves. His charity board asked him to step down. 3 major projects were put on hold pending the investigation. Elena watched it unfold from the penthouse, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and unease. This was what she'd wanted Marcus facing consequences. But seeing it happen felt surreal. Her new phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Elena. Marcus's voice was ice. We need to talk. Her stomach dropped. How did you get this number? I get everything I want. You should remember that. He paused. Meet me, 1 hour, the Peninsula Hotel bar, just you and me. I'm not meeting you anywhere. Yes, you are, because if you don't, I'll make sure every detail of your father's actual crimes becomes public. The real ones, not the ones I fabricated. The gambling debts, the embezzlement from his own employees, the mistress he kept for 5 years. Marcus's voice was silk over steel. Your father's a piece of work, Elena. Almost as pathetic as you are. Elena's vision blurred. You're lying. Am I? Ask him about Linda Chen. Ask him about the $50,000 he stole from his company pension fund. Ask him why your mother really died. Was it cancer or was it a broken heart? He let that sink in. 1 hour. Come alone or I burn your father's life to the ground. The line went dead. Elena stood frozen, the phone slipping from her hand. Dominic caught it, his expression darkening as he understood. What did he say? He wants to meet. Says he has information about my father. Threatens to release it if I don't come. Elena's voice was hollow. He knows things, private things. It's a trap. I know, but what if he's telling the truth? What if my father, even if it's true, you don't go alone? Dominic was already texting. We'll meet him, together, with witnesses and recording devices and enough backup that he can't try anything stupid. He said to come alone. And you think he'll actually be alone? Elena, Marcus doesn't do anything without calculating every angle. If he wants this meeting, it's because he thinks he can use it against you somehow. Rebecca burst through the door, clearly having received Dominic's text. You're not meeting him. It's insane. I have to. If there's even a chance he has real information about my father, then let us investigate it. Let us find the truth without you walking into his trap. Rebecca's voice was sharp. Elena, you're 2 weeks away from testifying. Marcus wants to rattle you, make you emotional and unstable. Don't give him that. But Elena was already grabbing her coat. I need to know. I need to hear what he has to say. Then I'm coming with you, Dominic said flatly. He'll see that as a threat. He won't talk. Good. I don't want him talking. I want him knowing you're not alone anymore, that you have people who'll fight for you. They arrived at the Peninsula 15 minutes early. Dominic had called in 3 of his people. They looked like regular hotel guests, but Elena could see the way they positioned themselves, covering exits, watching. Marcus was already there, sitting at a corner table with a glass of scotch. He looked perfect, as always. Expensive suit, styled hair, that smile that had once made Elena's heart race and now just made her sick. Elena, he stood ever the gentleman. You brought your guard dog. She brought her attorney, Rebecca corrected, appearing from behind them. Anything you say to my client can and will be recorded and used in court. Marcus's smile didn't falter. Of course, I wouldn't expect less. He gestured to the chairs. Please, sit. This won't take long. Elena sat, every muscle tense. Dominic stood behind her chair, a silent presence. You look well, Marcus said conversationally. Divorce agrees with you. What do you want, Marcus? To give you a choice. A real one for the first time in our marriage. He slid a folder across the table. And here is everything I have on your father. The gambling, the theft, the affairs. Enough to destroy what's left of his reputation and probably to send him back to jail. Elena's hands clenched. Why are you doing this? Because I want you to understand something. I'm not the villain in this story, Elena. Your father is. I tried to protect you from him, tried to shield you from his failures. And you repaid me by humiliating me publicly and trying to destroy my life. His voice hardened. So now you choose. Drop the grand jury testimony, refuse to cooperate with the FBI, and I bury this folder. Or testify against me and I make sure everyone knows what kind of family you really come from. That's blackmail, Rebecca snapped. That's a business proposition. Marcus's eyes never left Elena. You think I'm the monster your father stole from people who trusted him, lied to your dying mother, destroyed his own life, and blamed everyone else. At least I'm honest about what I am. Elena felt like she was drowning. I don't believe you. Then opened the folder. Her hand shook as she reached for it. Dominic's hand came down on hers, stopping her. Don't. Whatever's in there, it is designed to manipulate you. Don't give him that power. But Elena pulled away, opened the folder. Bank statements, photos, text messages. Her father with a woman Elena didn't recognize. Her father at a casino, documents showing transfers from his company accounts to personal ones. The room spun. Where did you get this? I've been collecting insurance on everyone in my life for years. Your father was easy. He's sloppy, desperate, weak. Marcus leaned back. I knew one day I might need leverage. Looks like today's that day. You sick son of a... Dominic started forward. Careful, Marcus said mildly. We're in a public place. Witnesses everywhere. You really want to assault me in front of all these people? Elena felt tears burning. Everything was falling apart. Again, just when she thought she'd escaped, Marcus found a way to trap her. I need to think about this, she whispered. You have until tomorrow, noon. Tell the FBI you've changed your mind about testifying, or this folder goes to every news outlet in Chicago. Marcus stood. It was good seeing you, Elena. You look beautiful when you're broken. He walked away, leaving the folder on the table like a bomb. Elena couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Rebecca was talking, but the words didn't penetrate. Dominic's hands were on her shoulders, but she couldn't feel them. Elena! Dominic's voice cut through the fog. Look at me. She did. His eyes were dark, intense, furious. He's lying. I don't know how, but he's lying. We'll prove it. It's all documented. Photos, bank records. Documents can be faked. Photos can be staged. We'll investigate every piece of this. He gestured to one of his people. Get this to our forensic team. I want to know if any of it's real. Rebecca was already on her phone. I'm calling your father. If there's any truth to this, he needs to explain it before Marcus weaponizes it. They rushed Elena back to the penthouse. She felt numb, disconnected from her own body. This was how Marcus worked. He found your weakness and exploited it. And her father was her weakness, had always been. Her father arrived within the hour looking panicked. Elena, what happened? Rebecca said it was urgent. Elena slid the folder across the table without speaking. His face went white as he looked through it. Where did you get this? Marcus, is it real? The silence was damning. Dad, is it real? Some of it. His voice cracked. The gambling, yes. I had a problem. Years ago, I got help, went to a meeting stopped, but the debt stayed. The theft. I borrowed from the pension fund. I paid it back. Every cent. It took me 3 years, but I paid it back. And the woman Linda Chen, her father's hand shook. We had an affair while your mother was sick. I'm not proud of it. It's the worst thing I've ever done, but your mother never knew. I made sure of that. Elena felt like she'd been punched. Mom died thinking you loved her. I did love her. The affair, it was weakness, fear. I was losing her and I couldn't handle it. I made a terrible choice. Tears ran down his face. I'm sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry. Does Marcus have proof that you didn't pay back the money? Her father hesitated. I paid it in beige, no paper trail. I thought it was better that way. But if Marcus says I didn't pay it back, I can't prove otherwise. Dominic swore in Italian. So he can make you look guilty even if you're not. The affair is bad enough, Rebecca said grimly. If the media gets hold of this, the narrative becomes criminal, father unfaithful, father failure, who dragged his daughter into Marcus's world. Elena's credibility as a witness gets shredded. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Tick-tock, Elena, 23 hours left to decide. She threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. I can't do this. I can't choose between destroying my father and letting Marcus win. You're not choosing. Dominic's voice was firm. We're going to fight. We're going to find a way to prove your father's telling the truth and discredit Marcus's evidence. How we have less than a day. Then we work fast. Dominic was already making calls. I know people who can trace financial records, verify documents, find the truth. We'll work through the night if we have to. And if we can't prove it by tomorrow, then we call his bluff, release the testimony anyway, and deal with the fallout. That's easy for you to say. It's not your father's life we're gambling with. Elena's voice broke. It's not your family that'll be destroyed. No, it's yours, and you deserve better than this. Dominic knelt in front of her chair, forcing her to meet his eyes. Elena, listen to me. Marcus has been controlling you through fear for 12 years. He's doing it again right now. Don't let him. Whatever happens with your father, whatever the truth is, it doesn't change what Marcus did to you. It doesn't make your testimony less important. People won't see it that way. They'll see a criminal's daughter trying to take down a successful businessman. They'll say, I'm bitter, vengeful, unreliable. Some people will. But the evidence against Marcus is solid. The FBI has documentation that has nothing to do with you or your father. Your testimony is just one piece. An important piece, but not the only one. Rebecca sat beside here. Marcus wants you to think you're the linchpin. You're not. You're just the person who can speak to his character, to the pattern of abuse and control. Elena wanted to believe her, but doubt was insidious, creeping through every thought. Her father stood. I'll go to the media myself. I'll confess everything, take responsibility. That way Marcus has nothing to threaten you with. No, Elena said sharply. That's exactly what he wants. He wants us fighting amongst ourselves, destroying each other. We're not doing his work for him. Then what do we do? Dominic's phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression shifting. You're sure? Completely sure? A pause. Send me everything. Now. He hung up, a slow smile spreading across his face. Marcus made a mistake. What kind of mistake? The bank statements in that folder, they're fake. My forensic team just confirmed it. The account numbers are real, but the transactions are fabricated. Marcus created false records to make your father look guilty. Hope flared in Elena's chest. You can prove it. We can prove the documents are forged. The photos of your father at the casino, they're real, but they're dated. From 8 years ago before he got help. Marcus just made them look recent. Dominic's voice was triumphant. In the affair, there's no documentation. Just his word against your father's. So it's a bluff. The whole thing is a bluff. Not entirely, your father did have those problems, but Marcus exaggerated and fabricated to make them look current and criminal. Dominic showed her his phone. We can discredit this entire folder, and when we do, it proves Marcus is willing to forge evidence, which destroys his credibility in the federal case. Elena felt tears streaming down her face, but for the first time in days, they weren't tears of despair. We can use this against him. Better than that, we can turn his trap into his destruction. Rebecca was already typing. I'm drafting a response. By morning, we release our own statement. We reveal that Marcus attempted to blackmail you with forged documents. We provide the forensic evidence. We paint him as exactly what he is, a desperate man trying to silence his victim. He'll deny it. Of course he will. But the evidence is on our side. And when you testify to the grand jury next week, you'll be seen as the brave woman who stood up to her abuser's blackmail attempts. Your credibility goes up, not down. Elena looked at her father. You need to come clean about the affair before Marcus can use it. Elena, I can't your mother's memory. Mom's gone, and she deserved better than you gave her. But right now, we need to control the narrative. You go to the media tomorrow. You confess to the affair, explain about the gambling problem, and recovery show proof that you paid back the pension fund money. Her voice was steel. You take away Marcus's ammunition. Her father looked older, smaller, but he nodded. Okay, I'll do it. Dominic's phone buzzed again. He read the message, his expression darkening. We have a problem. What now? Marcus just filed an emergency motion to block your grand jury testimony. Claims you're an unreliable witness due to mental instability and bias. He's asking for a psychiatric evaluation before you're allowed to testify. Rebecca swore. He's trying to delay and create doubt. When's the hearing? Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Dominic looked at Elena. You ready to fight in court? Elena thought about the past 3 weeks, leaving the hotel in the rain, the press conference, the divorce. Every moment Marcus had tried to break her, and every moment she had survived. I'm ready. The courtroom was packed. Media everywhere, cameras outside, reporters shouting questions. Marcus sat with his legal team, 4 attorneys in expensive suits, projecting confidence. Elena sat with Rebecca, Dominic beside her. She wore a simple navy suit, no jewelry, minimal makeup. She looked exactly like what she was, a woman telling the truth. The judge was a woman in her 60s, sharp-eyed and no nonsense. Mr. Brennan, you're claiming Ms. Martinez is mentally unfit to testify. Marcus's lead attorney stood. Your Honor, we have documentation showing a pattern of erratic behavior, emotional instability, and potential mental illness. We believe a psychiatric evaluation is necessary to determine her competency. What documentation? Statements from her husband, ex-husband, Rebecca corrected, regarding her behavior during their marriage. Instances of paranoia, depression, emotional outbursts. Do you have any medical documentation? Actual diagnoses from licensed professionals? The attorney hesitated. No, Your Honor. Mrs. Martinez refused all treatment. So you have no medical evidence, just the word of a man currently under federal investigation for fraud and bribery. The judge's tone was dry. Is that correct? We also have statements from family members expressing concern about her mental state. Which family members? Another hesitation. Her father. Rebecca shot to her feet. Your Honor, that's a lie. Mr. Davis has provided no such statement. In fact, he's here today to testify on his daughter's behalf. The judge looked at Marcus's attorney. Is this true? Agyamo? We were told that we believed. You believed wrong. Anything else? Any actual evidence of mental incompetence? The attorney shuffled papers, clearly grasping. The manner in which she left her husband, walking out of a public event causing a scene. A woman leaving an abusive relationship is not evidence of mental illness, counselor. It's evidence of self-preservation. The judge's voice was ice. Motion denied. Ms. Martinez will testify as scheduled. And Mr. Brennan, I suggest you advise your client that frivolous motions to silence abuse victims don't play well in my courtroom. The gavel came down. Marcus's face went dark with rage. As they filed out, he caught Elena's arm in the hallway. This isn't over. Dominic was there instantly, breaking Marcus's grip. Touch her again and you'll lose more than this motion. Threatening me in a courthouse? How stupid are you? Not a threat, a promise. Dominic's voice was deadly quiet. You've already lost Marcus. You just don't know it yet. Security intervened before it could escalate, but Elena saw something in Marcus's eyes she'd never seen before. Fear. He was afraid of losing control, of facing consequences, of her. The realization was intoxicating. That night, Elena's father went on the local news. He confessed to the affair, explained his gambling recovery, provided bank records, showing he had repaid the pension fund. He was honest, humble, broken. I failed my family, he said, tears in his eyes. I failed my wife, my daughter, myself, and Marcus Martinez knew it. He collected my failures like weapons waiting for the right moment to use them. Not to help me, not to protect my daughter, but to control her, to keep her silent about his own crimes. That's the kind of man he is. The interview went viral. By morning, the narrative had shifted completely. Marcus wasn't the wronged husband. He was the manipulative abuser trying to silence his victim with blackmail and forged evidence. The grand jury testimony was scheduled for Monday. Elena spent the weekend preparing with Rebecca, going over every detail of Marcus's business dealings she'd witnessed over 12 years. He used to take calls in the bedroom, she said. Late at night, I'd hear him talking about permits, inspections, making problems go away. He never thought I was listening, but I was. Can you remember specifics, names, dates? Some. There was an alderman, Bill Morrison. Marcus paid him $50,000 to expedite zoning for the Riverside project. I remember because Marcus joked about it at dinner. Said Morrison was cheap compared to the judge. Rebecca's eyes lit up. That's the judge who approved the waterfront permits. You heard Marcus talk about bribing him. Not directly, but he said everyone has a price and Judge Sullivan's is surprisingly reasonable. Elena's hands clenched. I remember thinking I should say something, do something, but I was too afraid. You're doing something now. That's what matters. Monday morning arrived cold and clear. Elena wore a gray suit, pearl earrings that had been her mother's. She looked professional, composed, credible. Inside the grand jury room, she took the oath with a steady voice, and then she told them everything. Every conversation she'd overheard, every suspicious meeting, every time Marcus had celebrated getting away with something. 12 years of careful observation of being invisible enough that he forgot she was there. She testified for 4 hours. When she emerged, Rebecca was waiting with a smile. The prosecutor says you were their strongest witness yet. It's enough to indict him. It's enough to bury him. 2 days later, the indictment came down. Marcus Martinez was charged with 15 counts, including bribery, fraud, money laundering, and racketeering. His bail was set at $10 million. His empire was crumbling, and Elena was finally truly free. If you or someone you know is having a difficult time, free support is available. Find resources. Elena watched the news coverage from Dominic's office, feeling disconnected from the chaos unfolding on screen. Marcus being led from his house in handcuffs, his attorneys swarming, reporters shouting questions he refused to answer. "How does it feel?" Dominic asked quietly. "Empty." Elena's voice surprised her. "I thought I'd feel triumphant, victorious, but I just feel hollow." "That's normal. Revenge doesn't fill the holes people like Marcus create. It just stops them from making new ones." Rebecca burst in without knocking, waving her phone. "Marcus's attorneys just called. They want to negotiate a plea deal." Elena's heart stuttered. "Already, the evidence is overwhelming. They know he's going to be convicted. They're trying to minimize the damage." Rebecca's smile was sharp. "They're offering to plead guilty to reduce charges in exchange for cooperation with the FBI on other cases." Other cases. Turns out Marcus wasn't working alone. He has information on corrupt officials, other developers, a whole network of people who've been gaming the system for years. Dominic leaned back in his chair. "The feds want him to flip. Give them everyone else." Elena felt sick, so he gets away with it. Reduced sentence, comfortable prison, out in a few years. He's looking at minimum 8 years even with cooperation. Maximum 15. For a man like Marcus, that might as well be a lifetime. Rebecca sat down. "But here's the thing, you get a say in this. The prosecutor wants to know if you'll support the plea deal." "Why would my opinion matter?" "Because you're the victim. Your testimony was crucial to the case. If you object to the plea, they'll take it to trial instead. Full prosecution, maximum charges." Elena stood pacing. "What happens if it goes to trial?" "You testify again, in public this time. Everything you told the grand jury, but in open court. Cross-examination. Marcus's attorneys trying to discredit you. Media circus." Rebecca's voice was gentle. "It would be brutal, Elena. I won't lie to you about that." "How long would it take?" 6 months minimum, possibly a year, and there's always a chance a jury acquits. Unlikely but possible. Versus 8 years guaranteed if he pleads. Versus 8 to 15 depending on how much he cooperates. Plus he loses everything. His business, his reputation, his freedom. He'll be a convicted felon. That doesn't go away. Elena thought about Marcus in prison, orange jumpsuit instead of designer suits, sharing space instead of commanding it, being powerless for the first time in his life. "I want to see him," she said suddenly. Both Rebecca and Dominic spoke at once. "Absolutely not. I need to see him. Before I decide about the plea, I need to look him in the eye one more time." "Elena, that's a terrible idea," Dominic said firmly. "He'll try to manipulate you." "Let him try. I'm not the same person I was a month ago. I'm not afraid of him anymore." "Then I'm coming with you," Dominic said. "No, this is something I need to do alone." The jail was cold and institutional. Elena sat in a private meeting room, her hands shaking despite her brave words. When Marcus was brought in wearing an orange jumpsuit, his hands cuffed, she felt a jolt of satisfaction. He looked diminished, smaller somehow. The power that had always radiated from him was gone. "Elena," his voice was different too, softer, almost vulnerable. "You came. I needed to see you to understand why you did all of this." Marcus sat across from her, the table between them suddenly feeling like a metaphor. "I did it because I could, because people let me, because the system rewards men like me and punishes people like you for trying to stop us." The honesty shocked her. "That's it. That's your explanation. What do you want me to say, that I loved you? That I regret what I did?" He laughed bitterly. "I don't love anyone, Elena. I told you that in the courtroom. You were a placeholder, a beautiful object I owned. And when you stopped being convenient, I tried to destroy you. That's who I am. You're a monster." "No, I'm a businessman. Monsters act on impulse. I calculated everything. Every move. Every manipulation. It just stopped working when you finally fought back." He leaned forward. "That's what I miscalculated. I thought you were too weak. Too broken. I didn't expect you to have someone like Dominic Sorrento backing you." Elena's chest tightened. "This isn't about Dominic. Isn't it? And you think you won because of your strength? You won because you found someone more ruthless than me? Someone willing to break the rules I only bent? Someone with connections I couldn't touch? Marcus's eyes were cold. You didn't beat me, Elena. He did. The words hit like acid, because part of her wondered if they were true. I beat you, she said, voice shaking. I walked out. I testified. I chose freedom over fear. Dominic just gave me the tools to fight, but the choice was mine. Keep telling yourself that, but we both know you'd still be trapped if he hadn't noticed you that night. One act of kindness from a dangerous man, and suddenly you're brave. Marcus smiled cruelly. You're not brave, Elena. You're just traded one cage for another. This meeting is over. Elena stood her legs trembling. Wait, Marcus's voice cracked. The plea deal, are you going to support it? Why should I? Because 8 years of my life is enough revenge. Because dragging this through trial won't change what happened. Because deep down, you're still the good girl who wants to do the right thing. He paused. And because if you force this to trial, I'll make sure every ugly detail of our marriage comes out. Every fight, every time you disappointed me, every reason I sought comfort elsewhere. I'll paint you as the frigid, neurotic wife who drove me to. You really think that'll work, but after everything, I think juries love a tragic story, and I'm very good at telling them. Marcus's smile was poison. Support the plea, Elena. Let me do my time quietly, or I'll make sure the trial destroys what's left of your dignity. Elena felt the old fear trying to take root, the instinct to placate, to avoid conflict, to make herself smaller. Then she remembered Dominic's words, you're not brave. Become brave. No, her voice was steel. I'm not supporting the plea. Take it to trial. Tell whatever lies you want. I'll tell the truth. And we'll let the world decide who they believe, the convicted felon or the woman who survived him. Marcus's face contorted with rage. You stupid guard, okay, Elena called. We're done here. As she was led out, Marcus's voice followed her. You'll regret this. The door closed, cutting him off. Elena walked out of the jail into winter sunlight, breathing hard. Dominic was waiting by the car, his expression tense. How did it go? I'm not supporting the plea. It's going to trial. Dominic studied her face. You're sure? I'm sure. He threatened me, but tried to manipulate me. Told me I'm not really brave, that I only won because of you. Elena met his eyes. He's wrong. I won because I chose to fight. And I'm choosing to finish this, no matter how ugly it gets. Something shifted in Dominic's expression. Respect, maybe, or something deeper. Then we fight. The trial was scheduled for 3 months later. Elena spent that time rebuilding herself. She started therapy with a woman who specialized in abuse survivors. She reconnected with old friends Marcus had isolated her from. She visited her father, and slowly, painfully, they began to repair their relationship. I'm proud of you, he said one afternoon over coffee. Your mother would be too. Don't, Elena's voice was sharp. Don't pretend Mom would approve of any of this mess. I'm not. I'm saying she'd be proud that you got out, that you fought back. She stayed with me through the affair, through my gambling, through everything. She never left. I always wondered if she regretted that. His voice broke. I think she'd be glad you didn't make her mistake. Elena felt tears burning. I miss her. Me too. Every day. Her father reached across the table, squeezed her hand. She taught you strength, even if she didn't use her own. You're using it for both of you now. The weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Rebecca drilled her on testimony, on how to handle cross-examination, on staying calm under pressure. Dominic arranged security, monitored threats, made sure she felt safe. And slowly, Elena realized something. She was falling in love with him. It happened in small moments. The way he brought her coffee exactly how she liked it. The way he listened when she talked about her therapy sessions. The way he never pushed for more than she was ready to give. One night, 3 weeks before the trial, she found him on the penthouse balcony, staring out at the city. Can't sleep, she asked, thinking about the trial, going through every possible angle Marcus's attorneys might use. Elena stood beside him. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why do you really do this? Not just me, I know about your sister, but you've helped other women. Rebecca mentioned cases, you've funded people, you've protected. Wow, Dominic was quiet for a long moment. My father was like Marcus, controlled my mother through fear and money, beat her when she stepped out of line. I was 8 when she finally left him, took me and my sister disappeared in the middle of the night. Elena's breath caught. What happened? He found us, 3 months later, dragged my mother back, said he'd kill her if she ever tried to leave again. She believed him. Dominic's voice was flat. She died 2 years later. Officially, it was a heart attack, but I think she just gave up, stopped fighting, let herself fade away. I'm so sorry. After that, my sister and I were stuck with him until we were old enough to leave. She escaped into a bad marriage. I escaped into a different kind of life, built power so no one could control me again. He turned to her. But power isn't enough. I learned that when Maria killed herself. I had all the resources in the world, but I couldn't save her. So now I use those resources for people who can't save themselves. People like you were. I'm not like her. You survived. That's the difference, but you could have gone the other way. That night in the rain, you could have gone back to the hotel, back to Marcus, back to disappearing. His voice roughened. When I saw you walk out, I saw my sister, my mother, every woman who ever tried to escape and didn't make it. And I decided you would make it, whatever it took. Elena's eyes burned. I wouldn't have without you. Yes, you would. You had it in you all along. I just gave you permission to use it. She kissed him. It wasn't planned, wasn't calculated. Just a spontaneous need to show him what words couldn't. He kissed her back, gentle at first, then deeper. When they pulled apart, his eyes were dark. Elena. I know this is complicated. I know I'm technically still dealing with my divorce, technically still healing, technically not ready for this. She took a breath. But I don't want to wait. I don't want to be careful. I've been careful my whole life and it got me nothing. I want this. I want you. You're sure? Because once we cross this line, I'm sure. They made love slowly, carefully, like they had all the time in the world. Afterward, lying in Dominic's arms, Elena felt something settle inside her. Not completion. She didn't need someone else to complete her, but partnership, choice, freedom. What happens after the trial? She asked quietly. What do you want to happen? I don't know. I've spent so long being what other people needed. I don't know what I want for myself. Then take your time figuring it out. I'm not going anywhere. The trial began on a cold February morning. The courthouse was surrounded by media protesters, curious onlookers. Elena walked in, flanked by Rebecca and Dominic, her head high. Marcus sat at the defense table looking polished and confident. His attorneys had clearly coached him well. But when his eyes met Elena's, she saw the fear underneath. The prosecution's case was methodical, devastating. Witness after witness detailing Marcus's crimes, financial experts tracing the money, city officials admitting to taking bribes, the judge from the waterfront case testifying about the $50,000 Marcus had paid him. And then it was Elena's turn. She took the stand in a navy suit, hands steady as she placed them on the Bible. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. The prosecutor was a woman named Sarah Chen Sharp, efficient, devastating. She walked Elena through her marriage chronologically. The control, the isolation, the financial abuse, the affairs. Mrs. Martinez, did you ever witness your ex-husband engaging in illegal business practices? Yes, many times. Can you give us an example? Elena described the bedroom phone calls, the jokes about bribing officials, the celebration dinners after permits came through impossibly fast. 12 years of evidence delivered in calm, clear detail. Marcus's lead attorney, a man named Richard Brennan, rose for cross-examination. He was smooth, practiced, condescending. Mrs. Martinez, isn't it true that you left your husband because you were having an affair with Dominic Sorrento? No. Isn't it true that you fabricated these allegations to justify your infidelity? No. You expect this jury to believe that you endured 12 years of abuse without ever seeking help, without telling anyone, without leaving until the very moment a wealthy, powerful man showed interest in you. Elena met his eyes. I expect this jury to understand that abused women don't leave on a schedule. We leave when we're ready, when we're strong enough, when someone finally shows us we're worth saving. Her voice didn't shake. I left when I couldn't survive one more day. Dominic Sorrento had nothing to do with that decision. He just made sure I didn't have to survive it alone. The attorney tried other angles, suggested she was mentally unstable, questioned her memory of specific conversations, implied she had financial motivation to lie. Elena answered every question calmly, truthfully, without breaking. When she finally stepped down after 3 hours, she felt wrung out but victorious. The trial lasted 2 weeks. The jury deliberated for 4 hours, guilty on all counts. Marcus's face went white as the verdict was read. Elena watched from the gallery, Dominic's hand in hers, and felt the last chains fall away. Sentencing was scheduled for a month later. Marcus's attorneys argued for leniency, his philanthropy, his contributions to the city, his lack of violent crime. The prosecutor argued for the maximum, the scope of his crimes, the number of victims, his complete lack of remorse. The judge was the same woman who denied Marcus's motion to block Elena's grand jury testimony. Mr. Martinez, you've been convicted of 15 counts of bribery, fraud, and corruption. You used your wealth and power to manipulate systems designed to protect the public good. You hurt countless people, business partners, employees, and most egregiously, your own wife. She paused. But the crime I find most disturbing is your attempt to silence Ms. Martinez through blackmail and intimidation. Your actions demonstrate a pattern of using legal systems as weapons against those who threaten your control. She sentenced him to 18 years in federal prison. Elena watched him being led away and felt nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, just relief that it was finally over. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed with questions. Rebecca handled most of them, but one reporter pushed through to Elena directly. Ms. Martinez, what do you want people to know about surviving an abusive marriage? Elena paused. Thought about the woman she'd been a year ago, broken, invisible, afraid. Thought about who she was now. I want people to know it's never too late to leave, never too late to fight back, never too late to choose yourself. Her voice strengthened. And I want abusers to know that power isn't permanent. Control isn't forever. Eventually, the people you hurt find their voices. And when we do, we don't stop talking until the whole world hears. The footage went viral. Within days, women across the country were coming forward with their own stories. The hashtag choose yourself trended for weeks. Elena became an accidental spokesperson for a movement she'd never intended to start. How do you feel about all this? Dominic asked one night, scrolling through social media responses to her courthouse statement. Terrified, hopeful, overwhelmed. Elena curled into his side. I never wanted to be a public figure. You're not. You're just a woman who told the truth. Other people are using that truth to find their own strength. He kissed her forehead. You should be proud. I am. I think. It's just a lot. 6 months after the trial, Elena started a foundation, the Elena Martinez Foundation for Survivors of Domestic Abuse. Funded by her divorce settlement, it provided legal resources, safe housing, and financial support for women trying to leave abusive relationships. Rebecca served as legal counsel. Dominic helped with funding and security. Her father volunteered in the office, answering phones, doing whatever was needed. I'm trying to make amends, he said one day, to you, to your mother's memory, to all the women I failed by staying silent about Marcus. You're doing good work, Elena said, and she meant it. The foundation grew rapidly. Within a year, they'd helped over 300 women leave abusive situations. Elena spoke at conferences, testified before Congress about domestic violence. Legislation used her platform to create real change. And slowly, carefully, she built a life that was entirely her own. 2 years after the trial, Dominic proposed. Not with fanfare or public gesture, just a quiet evening in the penthouse, a simple ring, a question. I love you. I want to build a life with you, but only if that's what you want. Only if you're choosing this because it makes you happy, not because you think you should. Elena looked at the ring, at Dominic, at the life she'd created from the ashes of her marriage to Marcus. Ask me again in a year, she said. Dominic smiled. Why, husband? Because I need to know I'm choosing you, because I want you, not because I'm afraid to be alone. I need to prove to myself I can be happy on my own first. Fair enough. He put the ring away. I'll be here when you're ready. The year passed. Elena traveled, pursued hobbies she'd abandoned, made friends who knew nothing about Marcus or the trial. She discovered she liked painting, that she was good at public speaking, that she could be happy alone, but preferred being with Dominic. When he proposed again exactly 1 year later, she said yes. They married in a small ceremony. Just Rebecca, Elena's father, a few close friends. No media, no fanfare, just two people choosing each other freely. Marcus heard about it in prison. He sent a letter to Elena, venomous and cruel, calling her a whore, and Dominic a criminal, and their marriage a sham. Elena read it once, then burned it. His words couldn't touch her anymore. 3 years after that, Elena stood in a hospital room holding her daughter for the first time. Sophia Elena Sorrento, 8 pounds perfect, screaming with outrage at the unfairness of being born. "She's got your fire," Dominic said, tears in his eyes. "She's gonna need it." Elena kissed her daughter's forehead. "The world's hard on women, but she'll be harder." Marcus was still in prison. Would be for another 11 years. Elena didn't think about him much anymore. He was a chapter in her story, not the whole book. She'd chosen to write the rest herself, and the rest was beautiful. 5 years later, the foundation had helped over 2,000 women. Elena had written a memoir that became a bestseller. Sophia was thriving, smart, fierce, loved beyond measure. Elena stood at a fundraising gala for the foundation, watching survivors tell their stories, watching them choose freedom, watching them become brave. Dominic wrapped his arms around her from behind. "What are you thinking?" "That I'm grateful. For that night in the rain. For Sophie at the cafe. For you following me. For every moment that led me here." She turned in his arms. "I'm thinking that breaking was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it taught me I could rebuild myself into something stronger. You were always strong, you just needed permission to use it." "No," Elena smiled. "I needed to give myself permission. You just reminded me I could." The gala ended late. Elena and Dominic drove home through Chicago streets, the city lights reflecting off the lake. Their daughter was asleep at home with a babysitter. Their life was messy and beautiful and entirely their own. Elena thought about the woman she'd been, the placeholder, the invisible wife, the beautiful object in Marcus's collection. That woman was gone. In her place stood someone real, someone whole, someone who'd learned that the only person who could save her was herself. She'd walked out of that hotel in the rain with nothing, and she'd built everything that mattered from the ruins Marcus had left behind. That was the story she wanted her daughter to know. Not that a man had saved her, but that she'd saved herself, then chosen to let others walk beside her. The rest was just details, and the details finally were hers to write.